move this slide here. At the bottom of your screen, your controls should look something like this, bottom left-hand corner of your audio settings. If you can hear me, you're all set. You have a chat tool, the raise your hand tool, and a Q&A tool at the bottom today. I won't ask you to raise your hand. I can't hear or see you, so if you have a question or comment for our speaker, simply just use the Q&A tool. This is where we'll handle all questions and comments. If you haven't downloaded the Zoom platform and are using the browser version, you may not have access to all of these controls, but you should still be able to watch and listen. At the top of your window are viewing options, and so this is where you can change how you're viewing today's presentation. If you have any technical questions, please use the chat tool to communicate with our production team. Please do not use the chat tool to communicate with our speakers. Today's event is being recorded and a replay will be available in coming days. I now turn this event over to Mike Harris, CEO of Patina Solutions.
Well, thanks, Jesse, and welcome everyone. As many of you know, we launched patinanation.com in late 2018, and our goal is to be the best online community for independent consultants like you. In addition to being available to help Patina serve our growing client base on projects and engagements, being a member of Patina Nation means you have access to marketing and sales support resources like we're going to cover today, benefits such as a solo 401k plan, even if you're not working for Patina. We have several earning opportunities through Patina that are all included on the website. So if you get a chance to get out there, patinanation.com. And then coming soon, we're really excited about Patina Connects. It's an online forum to ask, advise, and network with other independent consultants, and a group medical plan option, again, even if you're not working for Patina, just for being a member of Patina Nation. Today, our program features Jared Gold, the founder of Website by Tonight. We invited Jared because he has one of the easiest and most affordable ways to get a simple and professional website. And you provide the content, and then Jared's designers build and launch your website literally right in front of your eyes via screen share in a matter of hours. Jared is a recognized expert and leader in website design using Squarespace. He's passionate about empowering independent consultants to look most professional online so you can confidently focus on growing your business and compete. And on a personal note, I believe if you're going to commit to doing independent consulting as a career, it makes a lot of sense that you'd have a nice website. You need more, in my opinion, than just a LinkedIn profile to stand out from the pack. And I can tell you when I'm going to engage someone to help Patina with things, first thing I really do is I do check their website. And now I'm pleased to turn it over to Jared.
Yeah, can everyone hear me? Well, thank you so much for the intro, Mike. I really appreciate it, and I'm really happy to have the opportunity to present to you and Patina Nation and the wonderful Patina professionals. Really like what you all have done here. So let me go ahead and share my screen for the presentation. All right, I figure everyone can see the screen, correct? Perfect. So yeah, once again, the topic of this presentation is step-by-step creating your professional consulting website with me, Jared Gold, and my company is Website by Tonight. Just a few points about me is I run a company called Website by Tonight, and we work primarily with solo practitioners and independent consultants like the Patina professionals to create professional websites in a matter of hours via screen share collaboration. So for example, you would click a link to watch our designer screens while they build the website live and in real time with you while you give feedback and they adjust accordingly. And I'm featured by Squarespace as a platform expert and trainer. And Squarespace is a web development platform or content management system. We'll get into that a little bit later. And I also have a Udemy course, which is an online course platform with over 2,200 students and a 4.4 star rating. So I've been doing Squarespace now for a while, and it's my sole focus. So in doing hundreds of websites, whether doing them myself or with my team or consulting on them, I've found that these are the most likely reasons that people don't yet have websites. So honestly, a lot of it, I would say the number one reason is due to overwhelm. So people are overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, or they think that they need to know how to do technical development or coding or things like that. And also with the overwhelm, there's the misinformation that they think they need all these things because people tell them they need these things or they read different articles. So folks like yourself think they need a ton of social media followers or a huge email list or really powerful search engine optimization, also known as SEO, or even a fancy logo. And while all those things do have value themselves, they're really not needed. They're not a version 1 type thing. They're far down the road. And the version 1, the first building block, is a simple professional website, because then these other things build on top of that. So yeah, what you really need is just a simple brochure website. So here's an example, and this is a former client of ours, Alexandra Phillips. And so this is, and whether you have it branded like this with a professional headshot on the front, or it's branded more so as a company, you need something along these lines, whether it's a 1-pager or maybe up to 4 to 6 pages with, home, services, about, ideally some sort of case studies or testimonials, and a contact form. That's really all you need. And the primary purpose of a simple professional website is to get a prospective client to meet with you. So usually that takes place, you want to make it easy to reach you, and that starts with like a clear and easy contact form on your website that is very prominent or easy to access. And then you see that come through your email, and you have all the information in front of you. And if it seems like a good prospective client, then feel free to respond and coordinate a time for that intro call or intro meeting. So that's really the main purpose. The secondary purpose would be to establish credibility and professionalism. And all the things down the road of getting people to sign up for your email newsletter or getting social media followers, those are nice to haves, but those are a down the road type thing. And a professional website sets the foundation or framework for you to actually develop those other things. So they are not something you have on day one. Moving along, what makes a good website? And I would say the first, really the most important thing is just enough information so it's easy to read and it's obvious to take the next step. And usually the next step is, hey, request to connect or fill out a contact form or something like that. And maybe it's a prominent button or in the top right corner. It's somewhere that someone would expect to find it if they're thinking in their head, I should reach out to this person. And I'm sure we've all been to websites that have too much information or it's overwhelming. Maybe what I like to joke is these walls of text, numerous long paragraphs that no one is really reading. And it actually has, the people that have this on their website think that it does them a favor, but really it does the opposite effect. So on that note, less is more. You're not selling a $5,000 or $10,000 multi-month consulting engagement on your website. What you're doing is you're giving them just enough information to entice them to start a conversation. So that's obviously a much lower risk than if they were buying something expensive without talking to you. So therefore, that's why less is more is important. Also, with a website, you don't want it to look like it's just been sitting and collecting dust. So ideally, if you have a blog, you don't have the latest blog being from 2014 prominently on your website. You want to make it look like it's a little bit fresh and dynamic. Not only that it's new, but that, hey, there's something going on here. This person is still in business. Next, you want to make sure there's high quality photos. And there's a lot of good stock photography. So pictures you can download for free that you're allowed to use on your website, or pictures that are really inexpensive, maybe $10 to $12 each. And I'm going to go a little later into this presentation on what a high quality photo looks like. But essentially, there's no excuse anymore to not have high quality visuals to make you look as professional as possible. Lastly, you want to make sure that the website looks good and relatively uniform on all modern devices, including mobile. And the phrase for this is it's a responsive website. And the way to think about that is that the website responds automatically to the viewer's screen. So if someone is looking at it on a laptop, it looks one way. And if someone's looking out on a modern mobile phone, it automatically shrinks down and adjusts to fit that screen effectively, but it still looks like your brand and your website. It's a relatively consistent experience. And so in general, getting back to the previous point, you do not have to know how to code. What you really want is a content management system, or a CMS for short. And a CMS, there's many different options. And what a CMS allows you to do is, I almost think of it as a web-based Microsoft Word type thing for a website. So it's a drag and drop. And as you can see on the image left here, you can highlight text and make it bold or italic or add a link to it, like what you would see in a Microsoft Word or a PowerPoint. And essentially a CMS makes it possible to have a website done in a very modular way and managed in a modular way. So you can drag different pages, places, you can adjust settings, you can drag content, and there's nothing to install. It works right in your web browser. You don't have to buy any software. A CMS also has lots of features and is easy to maintain, as opposed to having to custom code everything from scratch and then having to reach out to someone who knows how to code every time you want to make a little edit. So a content management system solves that problem of that need, at least for simple maintenance. And if your website isn't super complex, and I think the overwhelming majority of independent consultants, such as the folks in Patina Nation, probably just need that simple brochure website, so it wouldn't be super complex. So you want a content management system that is hosted for you to help you launch quicker. So that what that means is there's two different types of content management systems. So for example, there's one kind, such as WordPress, that you can use, but you have to install it on a separate hosting platform, such as GoDaddy or Bluehost. I'm sure we've heard of those options. And what you ideally want is a content management system that is hosted for you. So when you sign up, you don't need to go find another host. It's all in one place. And what I've found is that Squarespace is really the best content management system. Let me actually, give me 1 second. I want to see if there's any questions. Looks like we don't have any questions. I saw some pop up. I think we're good. But Mike or Jesse, feel free to interrupt me if there's any questions that come up. And so Squarespace, I've tried numerous content management systems, and Squarespace really is the best one. And full disclosure, Website by Tonight only builds websites on Squarespace, but we do not have a financial relationship with them. We have no incentive to refer them business or users. Here's some of the reasons why Squarespace is the platform that you want to use to build your next website. For starters, everything is in one place. They host it for you. They have all the templates you need. You don't need to go buy any separate templates. I saw a question come in of why Squarespace is better than WordPress, and so that's a great question. I will get to that at the end of this slide. Everything is in one place. So hosting, templates, email support. So they have amazing email support, and all of the functionality you need, such as creating photo galleries, embedding video, having a contact form, having a blog, having some simple e-commerce, right? It has all the features you need. Squarespace is also the most intuitive and the most reliable. So for example, someone brought up Wix. And someone brings up GoDaddy. I appreciate everyone's engagement here. This is really helpful. So there are other content management systems such as Wix and GoDaddy. And while those can be good in some cases, in my experience, GoDaddy does all kinds of services. So their specialty is not in having a content management system. And so theirs is okay. Their support is really good, but you're just not going to get the templates and features that Squarespace has. And Wix, I found that Wix is good if you want like a free website, if you're a hobbyist, maybe a high school or college kid, or just creating a website for fun. But the Wix support and the templates and the functionality, a lot of our clients come from Wix because they have a variety of problems. And the content management system is not as intuitive as Squarespace, and the support is not as good. Also with Squarespace, it makes it very easy to implement other widgets or web-based software. So I think a really common one here is, you go to a website and you see live chat in the corner, and not everyone needs that, but that's just an example of a web-based software. You sign up for it another place, and it gives you a little bit of a code to embed right on the website. And so you can use these other widgets very effectively. Lastly, Squarespace, I believe, is the best content management system because it's very easy to monitor and quickly update and scale with additional design, pages, and marketing. So it should be able to grow with you for quite some time. So those are just some reasons here. So I have a ton of engagement. Thank you all. I really appreciate that. So let's see. I have many questions to get to. I hope Mike and Jesse don't mind if I answer them now just while they're here, and I'm going to try to be quick. Are there any from...
This is Mike. That's great. You do whatever you want there in terms of answering questions.
Thank you so much. I love the audience engagement here, really. So Michael asks, are there high quality, low cost blog platforms that don't require a dedicated website and integrate well with LinkedIn, etc.? Excellent question. LinkedIn has a really good blogging platform, so to speak, with, I think they call it Pulse. So you can create your own blogs on LinkedIn. And I really recommend that. At the same time, I think they do have some sort of character limit. So I would consider something like Medium, which is just medium.com. And you kind of own this space as well. And so I would consider posting both on LinkedIn or posting part of your blog on LinkedIn, and then, hey, click here to read the full thing on my blog on medium.com. And it doesn't require you to have its own website. So Medium is great. Alan Bach asks, I have a website hosted by HostGator and annual renewal is due. How easy is it to migrate to Squarespace and keep the domain? It's very easy. So all these different hosts make it very easy to do that. All it is a matter of logging into the place that you bought your domain, such as GoDaddy, because HostGator does not sell domains directly. They use third parties. And so you just go into some settings in your domain and point the domain to point to your new Squarespace website or whatever website platform you use. And that way all traffic goes there. Now, if you want to reuse your existing website content, that's different. But I imagine from your question, that's not the case. So you can just leave everything where it is and cancel your hosting with HostGator and just redirect the domain traffic to the new website. Rick asked some great questions. They're not super relevant right now, but I would love to get to them before they become more relevant in the later slides, and I would love to get to those then. Debbie asks, I already have a domain and hosting site, no website yet. Will I have to integrate my email, drop the hosting, etc.? It's great that you have a domain name, and with your hosting provider, you can easily switch between them. And usually the hosting providers have pretty good customer support. And so if you just say, hey, listen, I want to keep my domain the same, but can you please cancel my website hosting? That's all you need to do. So that should be pretty easy. And I hope that answered the question. Bonnie asks, what if I don't have a domain yet? How do I get one? I usually recommend just buying one on GoDaddy.com. And then I think there was one more question. So one second. And Rick says, Rick, I really love your engagement. You say, Squarespace is incredible, love working with them, amazing online chat and support in real time. Someone asked, and then the very last point is someone mentioned that Squarespace does not have a 1-800 number and require you to send an email. And GoDaddy, and they said GoDaddy has better support in my mind. So I think GoDaddy's support is really good. I still think Squarespace's support is really good because they do have live chat. And in my experience, when you submit an email request, they get back to you usually within an hour or two. So I understand a lot of people do want to hop on the phone, but fortunately, I think in almost all cases, it's really not necessary to do that. I do need to move on to the other slides, but I want to try to answer the other questions before the end of the presentation. I really appreciate this from everyone. And I hope I'm not talking too quickly. I wanted to make sure I got through everything. So the next part here is discovery questions. And I know that, I'm obviously talking to a whole group of consultants here, and I imagine this is the same in your business, is you ask your clients discovery questions. Hey, help me understand what you're looking for, your ideal solution, etc. So these are the discovery questions that I ask my clients, and I think these are really helpful for you to ask yourself when it comes to planning a website. So firstly, and this is probably the number one most important or most useful, is what are some websites you like and why? And ideally, you want to find other websites that you like in the same industry or have the same purpose that you want yours to emulate. So maybe those are your competitors have some great websites, your competitors as an independent consultants or consulting businesses. For example, I've had clients say, clients that are consulting businesses say, I like apple.com. And as great of a website as Apple has, it's not really helpful to say you like that because the purpose of Apple is to help sell you hardware and software as opposed to consulting services. So try to find other consulting or professional services websites you like and why you like them. And then I think the key is to try to emulate maybe a few of those favorite ones and add your own little flair to it. Other discovery questions, what's the purpose of your website and what are you hoping to accomplish? Like I mentioned, for independent consultants, you really just probably need that one-page website or 4 to 6 pages with a contact form with the thing you're looking to accomplish of people being able to see what you do and establish credibility and see other success stories of your previous clients through maybe some short case studies and see that they're a fit. Visualize, oh, this is the end result of working with this person. They've worked with companies like these. And we have a similar problem. So like I can envision this person hiring this person. So they fill out your contact form, right? That's usually the primary purpose here. Secondly, who is your ideal customer, client, or audience or usual demographic? So I think that's helpful to keep in mind. And, one example, and it kind of goes with point number 3, when people see your website or brand, what adjectives or feelings do you want to pop into their minds? Is there an overall tone you're going for? So point 2 and 3, I'm going to give they kind of blend together, and I'm going to give an example of, we've done a bunch of websites for therapists, solo practitioners, and so they're mindful of their ideal customer, client, or audience. So maybe individuals that are depressed or facing a challenge, or maybe they're couples or married folks. And so they keep that person in mind, and then they factor in the adjectives or feelings. So they try to make the website very calm, very approachable. We all know how therapists like to talk and how they like to come across. They don't want to come across as aggressive or overconfident or unfriendly. So you just want to factor in, who are the types of people that I want viewing this website? Who are my ideal website visitors? And then what do I want them to feel when they see my website or engage with my brand? And then lastly, if this helps, looking at the Squarespace templates and figuring out what you like and why. Sometimes this can be a little challenging because, for example, they have demo content in their templates, and sometimes the best templates for you may look like they're for a restaurant because that restaurant content is on there. And so that's a little bit confusing, and I wouldn't put too much weight in that. And that's why I usually like to just think about what are some websites you like and why in general, because a lot of those can be emulated in Squarespace. So just if you're looking at the templates, think about maybe the tone, or hey, here's an image at the top and the navigation up at the top, and then a blog section here, stuff like that. And that may help you visualize the capabilities a little bit more. Let me see. I have a few questions here. Tom, I'm going to answer your question because it was related to the last slide. So would be interested in hearing your comments on integrating other tools such as MailerLite or email marketing tools. Those will be really easy to implement. And so that's for if folks are a little more sophisticated in marketing and sending like marketing blasts and different marketing campaigns. And so tools like that, they should give you a little bit of code, like that, widget, whatever, like some code to copy and paste directly in your website. And so you can embed that sign up directly into a Squarespace website. Yeshwant says, I've had a good experience with Weebly so far. How is Squarespace better than Weebly? How easy is it to migrate my content from Weebly to Squarespace? So Weebly is good. And I think that just in my experience, Squarespace is just a better version than Weebly in terms of better functionality and better templates, but Weebly is still good. And how easy is it to migrate my content from Weebly to Squarespace? That would require you to rebuild the website so you can copy and paste old content, and hopefully you have the images available. So, you know, if you're happy with your current website on Weebly, I wouldn't necessarily worry about moving it to Squarespace, assuming the website still looks pretty good. And I know Weebly does have some good templates. An anonymous person asked, do you see any problems with WordPress? And thank you for bringing that up again, because that's going to be the last question I take on this particular slide. But in general, WordPress is a great platform, but I have many customers that come from WordPress and say, oh, everyone recommended WordPress. They said it was so easy. And like, I'm a professional in this business, and WordPress is not that easy to use, especially to get a website to look exactly how you want it to. And then WordPress, there are hosted versions of WordPress, but in my experience, they don't work that well or look that good. So then there's the other option of, if you use WordPress and you need to find a separate website host, you need to buy a premium template. And then you have all these moving parts working together. And so not only is it hard to maintain, but then, what happens if you need technical support? What happens if something breaks? Do you reach out to the template provider? Do you reach out to the host? Do you reach out to WordPress itself? So Squarespace, for the functionality and design needs for independent consultants, I think Squarespace just removes so much frustration and difficulty and just makes it much more turnkey. So if you want to get started on Squarespace, and they have a great free trial program, you can really easily do that. So I guess my first step, and this is available on the Website by Tonight website, is I have a project brief and content document that I send all of our clients. And so I think you all would find this useful, because there's some instructions on there to organize your content. And so I recommend having all of your content and design preferences in one place. So just as a working document where you store all of your ideas, here are some websites I like and why, here's the tone I'm going for. And that all helps you visualize, oh, I can see myself combining maybe these 3 consulting websites into my own and making it look and feel like this. And, oh, I should put this text should go here and this text should go there. So it helps you, having everything in one place and working through these questions will help you visualize what kind of site you're looking for. And after you have that, and it doesn't have to be done, but working enough to start playing around with things, I recommend you start your free trial on Squarespace by picking a template. And here are just some quick template suggestions that work really well or can work really well for independent, like a simple professional website for an independent consultant would be the Bedford template, Hayden, Pacific, Ready, Harris, and these other ones. And everyone will get a copy of the presentations and slides after this anyway. So you can look around and, if you don't like a template, you can easily switch to another one and see what works. So it's a little bit of trial and error, but hopefully this helps point you in the right direction when you have all your ideas sorted and which templates are most likely to set you up for success. Martin asked, can you change templates later? And yes, you can change templates on Squarespace at any time. You don't need to buy any. You don't buy templates or anything like that. You just go into into your design settings and change the template. Keep in mind, the further you get along designing your website, and if you change a template, you will have to redo some of the design work as well, because it changes those settings. So try to do it earlier rather than later, to just in some initial trials and adjusting the settings and adding the content, try to see if a template is going to work before fully committing to it and finishing it out. Amy asked, will you be able to email us the link on organizing our content, or will the link work on the presentation when it's emailed? I promise you will get a working link. I will speak with the Patina team to see the best way to deliver that link, because I want to make sure everyone gets it as easy as possible, because I think it'll be really valuable when you organize and plan things for your website. So, high quality photos. And As you can see with these white X's, there's 3 photos that I do not like and 1 photo that I do like. And there's a few best practices for ways that I think about getting the ideal images. So number 1 is use photographs that look like they happened. So if you look at the middle image here, there's everyone smiling and pumping their fist. I know I covered it up with the X here, but there's everyone smiling and pumping their fists and looking at the camera. And it doesn't look like a real photograph, it looks like it was staged. So I think that throws people off. On the left here is this like compass graphic pointing to answers. And so I always say these types of 3D graphics look very outdated, 1990s, 2000s, and they just feel a little bit cheesy and inauthentic. And then lastly, there's this one with this like generic looking man with this like graphic effect of these honeycombs, and one says consulting and it's all over the place. So once again, that does not look like a photograph. It looks kind of cheesy, and it just gives the wrong feeling. So the reason I like this one down here is these look like real people, having a real meeting, and they're not looking at the camera. It looks like an actual photograph that occurred. And you want to make sure you get these professional stock photos from good professional sites, and those provide you with high resolution versions so that it doesn't look blurry or pixelated. So a few of my favorite sources here are StockSnap, Pexels, and Unsplash are good free stock photo sites where you can use photos for your business. You can't just go to like Google Images and download something. That's not allowed. You need to go to a stock photo site to get images. And then iStock and Getty Images both start around $10, and you can expect most of your good photos to be around $10 if you go the paid route through these options, and they look really great. Tom quickly asks, let's see, attracting customers in consulting is not like that of a manufactured goods business. So I'm curious if you're aware of lead generation solutions that fit the B2B professional management consulting market. My default is to discard such tools as B2B management consulting business is mostly word of mouth or through direct selling of methods and referrals, but I don't want to overlook something that might help me work smarter, not just harder. Comments. Excellent question, Tom. And I imagine, in speaking to independent consultants all the time, I imagine that most of your business does come through referrals. There are a variety of different marketing channels and services. For example, there are services that take over your LinkedIn for you and send messages and requests. And that can be effective, like those in-mails or message requests or whatever. And so that can be an effective tool for prospecting qualified leads and getting them into the top of your funnel. There's lots of other marketing services. And so I would say the number one thing I think of is those LinkedIn done for you marketing services, and I would look into that. Rick Planos asks, what about Canva? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, Rick, but Canva is a great tool, but I think it's hard for most people to use to create something professional and effective. I wouldn't use it in most cases. I would try to stick stock photography but if you need to make like a slight edit to a stock photo, such as add like a white border around it, something like Canva is really good. Someone asked, can you use one of your own photos? Yes. So if you have some sort of, I always recommend professional headshots. So if you have a professional headshot, definitely put that on your site. If it's outdated, I usually recommend getting a newer one that's up to date that you really feel great about, because it's so universal to put on your website and your LinkedIn and all that. I think a lot of people don't have professional photography of them, being on client site in the field doing their thing. So I think I would be very careful about only using photos you've taken if they are super professional looking and high quality, probably by a professional photographer or someone with a really good camera. Next, you want to make sure to include a contact form on your website. And I feel very strongly about using a contact form instead of just listing your contact info. And there's a few different reasons. Mainly that it sets you, overall, it's to set you up for a great first conversation. So what that means is, if you just have your email address on a website, someone may not know what information they need to fill you in on. They may just say, hey, I need consulting services and I'm at this company. And that could mean anything, right? So a contact form with these types of fields, name, email address, phone number, making it optional, but definitely ideal. And then how can we help you? How can we serve you? Like an empty box there. And then how did you hear about us? Gives you all the information, in my opinion, you need to be able to assess if this person is worth emailing and setting up that intro call or intro meeting with. Another downfall is if you just have your phone number on a website. You open yourself up to spam calls, or if you have your email on there, spam emails. But then let's say someone calls you out of the blue. I feel everyone is probably plagued with robocalls and unwanted calls, spam related. And so if you get a phone call from a number you don't know, it could be an amazing client. But, if 9 times out of 10 it's a spam call, you might miss that client and they may not leave a voicemail and move on to the next person. So a contact form ensures that they fill out the necessary information so that you can get back to them in the best possible way to best serve them. I don't know about other people, but I don't like out of the blue calls because, I could be doing anything. So I like being able to check things at my desk and really give the most thorough response to maximize my chances of helping that person and getting that first conversation off on the right foot. So here's a Squarespace example, Redhead Momentum here. And this is not a client of ours, but notice here we have a nice welcoming headshot on the homepage because she has chosen to brand her business as herself. It's a very clean layout. She doesn't technically have a logo. Notice the top left corner here. This is a text logo. And so I feel a lot of folks in here probably don't have a logo, and that's totally fine. You can have a text logo like this directly in Squarespace, and it still looks professional. On this website, there's also client logos, testimonials, a contact form, and social icons in the footer. Michael quickly asks, any tips on preventing liability lawsuits on ADA accessibility, for example, for the blind? That is an excellent question. I'm sorry that it's not in my forte or field of expertise. What I will say is Squarespace does have a great platform and they continue to innovate. And I know that their websites are designed in a way that allows you, I think in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of ways related to ADA, add in the necessary information so that something like screen readers can read websites to people that are vision impaired so that it is ADA compliant. So I'm not 100% sure, but I know that Squarespace is a very up-to-date platform, and it's designed in ways to accommodate things like that, I believe. Here are some other sample websites, and neither of these are clients of Website by Tonight. But so on the left, we have a logo and then home, about, how we can help, blog and resources and contact, and a large welcoming banner image. On the right, we have I'm sure everyone recognizes this kind of format where a logo in the top left. And this person is a one-person consulting group, I believe. I'm not positive, but I think that's the case, and they've branded themselves as a group, and that's totally fine. There's no right or wrong. I would just be consistent. And notice home, services, who we are, clients, case studies, blog, and a get started button. And notice this is very obvious, the get started button in the top right, the contact button, contact link in the top right here. And the point here is that you want to make that contact or call to action as easy as possible, right? Don't make people dig for how to contact you. I don't think that helps anyone. And notice we have a clean banner here with an exciting image and a clear tagline. And as you scroll down to the website, it gets into the services and who they help. Carla asks, after consulting independently for 5 years, I want to relaunch with a new refreshed logo, refreshed brand, logo, colors, website, etc. I'm interested in working with a firm to help me with overall branding before I do the website. Any suggestions of who to work with? Excellent question. So some people do want the logo and the branding, and I completely respect that. And there's a few, I think I actually get to it later in the presentation. So you have a few different options. You can go with a provider like 99 Designs, and 99 Designs allows you to create what's called a design contest. And so multiple different designers submit designs, and you go through this process of refining it and picking a winner, and that winner gets the prize money. There's also Fiverr, Fiverr, which has some good designers most of which are overseas, but many of which speak definitely proficient or good English, or proper English rather. And that could be a more cost-effective way to get a logo and brand and colors and all that kind of stuff. And yeah.
I want to jump in just real quick. Patina Solutions on patinanation.com does have a marketing tools and resources category on our site, and we work with third-party vendors for things like branding, proofreading, or social media, PowerPoint development, all of those things. So I would recommend, if anybody on this call has those needs, that they visit that page on our site.
Jesse, thanks so much for letting me know. I need to brush up on all the things you all do. Yeah, so I second Jesse's point that, they vetted them already and they're a particular fit for the type of needs that independent consultants have. So I definitely actually recommend going the way Jesse mentioned in terms of seeing those vendors. Emily Capel, I hope I said that name right, has a great question. Should your domain name reflect what you do? So for example, she liked the Redhead Momentum site, but it's unsure about what she does. I wouldn't stress too much about, I'm sorry, Lance, Jesse's comment was specifically check the Patina Nation services portal to see different types of services, such as like PowerPoint development, marketing, logos, stuff like that. So in terms of the domain, does your domain have to describe what you do? It could. I think ideally you just want it to reflect your business name, right? So for example, hopefully this company has sumastrategies.com. You always want like your businessname.com to avoid confusion. So your business name could be literal, or it could not be. I don't think it matters too much. I think it just needs to be, shorter rather than longer, easy to spell, ideally no confusing dashes, and you want it to be a .com. But just, on your homepage, just like how the Carabiner Group has it, make it really obvious what you do. We help our clients skillfully respond to their most critical organizational and individual challenges. That's still a little bit vague, but I'm sure the Carabiner Group clarifies that down the page. But definitely in the top banner, when someone first arrived to your site, they have like 10 seconds, or they may just decide to go elsewhere. So make sure they understand what you do in those first 10 seconds. Here's some other sample websites that I think look good. So here, Lion Performance Solutions. This is a little vague, once again, building effective organizations, but that's okay. And then this website looks really good. Your people are your secret weapon for rapid growth and long-term success. So notice these types of websites. These are professional services businesses, and they start with like a nice, engaging intro banner and a tagline and a subblurb, and then maybe 3 different boxes of the types of services you offer or the type of companies you help. So I think just those kind of help paint the picture of here are what other consulting firms do, and this is relatively best practice. And I do recommend, if possible, I know that Patina Nation, you all have a ton of experience, which really sets you apart, and that's amazing. And if possible, I would try to put together some case studies, some short case studies, or even testimonials. It's not necessary to launch your website with, but it really, really adds a ton of value. And so when I say brief case studies, I would say just 3 short paragraphs. So firstly, the opportunity, which is a polite word of saying the client problem, and then the approach and solution you implemented, and then a 3rd short paragraph on the outcome or the end benefit or effects of the solution that you implemented. So I would say that's all that's needed for a case study. It doesn't have to be a multi-page white paper. And if you have some case studies on your website, that just adds so much credibility and allows the visitors or prospects, whatever you want to call them, to visualize themselves if they have those same problems or they're that kind of company and they can relate to that. That's going to give you so much more power and likelihood that they reach out to you to start a conversation because they might need help with that, those same challenges. But even a few client testimonials sprinkled throughout the site, or maybe on the homepage, three testimonials on the homepage would be really helpful. Just some short quotes, maybe 1 long sentence or 2 medium length sentences, and anonymize it a little bit. So Tammy B, SVP of supply chain at a Fortune 500 consumer goods company. So that way it helps envision the types of companies you help. And there's a quote from a leadership role or someone in a leadership role. And the good news is that it's easy in Squarespace to create case studies or testimonials. So they have like a quote block that you can drag in and it creates like a big quote that's very emphasized. Or you can maintain case studies in almost like a blog format that you can cycle in on the homepage, cycle in and out, and add different tags to, which could be really helpful as well if you have a ton of case studies and visitors are looking through it and they want to know specifically the case studies related to CRM or finance or whatever your area of expertise is. Some FAQs, so frequently asked questions that folks ask us a lot. Do I need a logo? No, Squarespace allows you to create a basic text logo. You can always add a logo later. So here are a few options, but I agree with Jeci to check out the Patina marketplace first because they've vetted these people. And I imagine that these providers are very familiar with your types of needs. So they could be the most ideal fit. That I would recommend reaching out to them first. Do I write in the first or third person? It's a matter of preference. I would say whatever fits with your brand and feels right. If you are branded as an individual, and that's like, MikeJones.com, right? If you brand yourself as that, Mike Jones Consulting, speak from first person. But if you do brand as a company, solutionpartners.com, right? Then you can decide if you want to use first person or third person. I think the key is to just be consistent and do what feels natural to your personality and what your clients would like. Just a few additional recommendations that are related is I recommend buying your domain at the very end of the process unless you're super clear on exactly what the domain would be. And you want to get, and so in terms of buying your domain, I usually recommend GoDaddy. And then when it comes to buying a business email, so it's, sue@yourbusinessname.com, I recommend doing it through G Suite, which is Gmail for business. And you can actually sign up for G Suite right inside Squarespace. And they, after you connect your domain and become a paying customer, and they give you the first year for free. Normally it's $50 a year per account on G Suite. But you could also sign up if you prefer Outlook instead of Gmail. Outlook for Business works great as well, and it's about the same price, I believe. Also, I would include on your website social media links for any accounts you actively maintain. So I'm sure that many of you are active on LinkedIn. So I would definitely include your LinkedIn social media link, and then any other platforms you are active on. Maybe you post at least once a month. And you minimize external links off of your site. So try not to take people off your site too much. But for those that you do have clicking off to other websites, you can set it up in Squarespace to have them open up in a new window or tab. I also recommend testing your site on multiple devices, assuming these are modern devices. So I wouldn't test the website on a super old cell phone or the computer in your guest bedroom that has Windows XP and is 10 years old, because modern websites are designed to work on modern web browsers. And then lastly, you should be proud of your new website being built. So it's a perfectly valid reason to let your network know and update your social profiles accordingly as well. And a few questions here. So someone asked to clarify, does Website by Tonight actually build the website for clients? Yes, we build all client websites on Squarespace. And I'm gonna get into that just at the very tiny, in the last slide or so. Larry asks, how do you design the site so it has legs and doesn't look outdated too quickly? So for example, the so-called flat design seems to be popular now, but for how long? I think if you design a website that looks modern by good current standards, it's not going to look outdated super quickly. It's going to last you for years. I would say the main faux pas is that, for example, if you start a blog, which I encourage you to start a blog, I would say blog at least once per month. I think it looks really bad if you start a blog and you maybe post a few times and then you let it sit for a few years and you forget to update it, and people see that your last post was in 2015 or 2016. So I would say things like that for a well-designed website, it should have some good lasting effect, right? It doesn't go out of style too quickly. And this is a question that Rick had before, and Rick, thanks so much for your patience here. And you ask, generally speaking, how often should I be adding content to my website? Currently, I comment frequently on LinkedIn and others, but don't really integrate my website, and I wonder if that makes it stale. I would try to include your website when you can. So perhaps if you can commit to blogging once a month or even once every 2 months, on LinkedIn, maybe a short snippet and then a link to the blog on your website, that is a very effective marketing and thought leadership tool to get people on your website. Steve asked, do you need to worry about trademarking your domain name or copyright your content? In my experience, I'm no legal expert. In my experience, I wouldn't worry about it. Lance asks, Squarespace provides the hosting as well as the CMS platform, right? Doesn't the host provide email functionality as well? I don't understand the G Suite tie-in. Excellent question. Squarespace provides the hosting, the CMS, everything you need for a website. They just make it really, really easy to sign up for G Suite, Gmail for Business, right from within it. So that's the tie-in, is they just make it a little bit easier to sign up for that business email than other places. Debbie asks, how many case studies would you suggest for a site? I would say if you have 2 or 3, that would be really excellent. But more is good. I would only have up to 2 or 3 on the home page, but maybe a whole case studies page where people can click into different ones. Some more questions. I hope everyone doesn't mind while I get to these. I think I have a questions tab. I might as well just scroll to that. And let's see, Craig asks, what about keywords as well as SEO? My website is built, but how can you assess traffic to the site? Squarespace actually has a really simple built-in analytics platform, and you can easily install Google Analytics right within Squarespace. But Squarespace's analytics are already pretty decent, so you might not even have to. You can just look directly and see where your website traffic is coming from, how many people are visiting it per day or per week. Maybe you find that you were featured in some sort of business journal and you didn't even expect that, and that's sending a ton of traffic to your website. And so you want to double down on that marketing channel. So it already has those basic analytics, and that can help you understand if SEO is working. Mary asks, I have Bluehost and WordPress, but haven't started my web page yet. Should I just start over? I did get a domain name and email through Bluehost. I have a lot of clients that come from Bluehost, and they, a lot of them, I tell them exactly this, say, you just reach out to Bluehost and say, hey, please keep my domain, but please cancel my website hosting. I've decided to go another direction, and they will happily do that for you. And then that way you can, for example, if you want to create a Squarespace site, you can just very easily go into Bluehost and point that domain to the new Squarespace site when it's set up. Tom asks, can you please comment as to whether it's best to mirror limited content from your website on social media like Facebook and Twitter? Any best practices? Yes, that is called repurposing your content. And that's a little bit outside of the scope of this presentation. But if you just search online like best practices for repurposing content, there will be a ton of useful items. And for example, if you write one really long blog post, that can serve as multiple different shorter posts on social media that link to the bigger post. Laura asks, Google is becoming notorious for using your data inappropriately. Any other options? We could go down the rabbit hole. I would say most tech companies are a little bit lenient on how they use their data. I would say that when you're a Google business customer, when you're paying for their products so one best practice I use, not to go off on a tangent, is if you're using a free software platform such as free Gmail, any free software you use, you are unfortunately the product. So what that means is they're going to try to make money off you somehow, such as serving you with ads that they think are relevant to you. And so that's where some of this loose data usage comes in. But if you are a business customer, such as if you are paying for Gmail with the business license, they are very, very obsessive about privacy. So I would trust it. I would trust Google there for sure. And lastly, Shelley asks, GoDaddy strongly recommends Outlook instead of Gmail because Gmail has strong spam filters, which can prevent receiving the contact form data, which I experienced firsthand. Does G Suite for Gmail for Business correct this problem? And it's a great question. I'm not sure if GoDaddy is fully 100% true on that, or perhaps they have a more lucrative partnership with Microsoft for email. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm unsure. I trust G Suite, and I know a lot of businesses do, so I would say that's not a big concern. It might be how your website is developed, and I know that Squarespace with contact forms works great. And yeah, Jesse, thanks so much for taking over the screen share. Back to you. That was smooth. Appreciate that.
Here, first, I just want to thank you, Jared. That was absolutely great and helpful, and we will definitely ask you to come back to Patina Nation and share your excellent knowledge about websites.
Thank you.
Everyone on the screen now is some information about contacting Jared and what the pricing is for Jared's group to help you with your website if you want. And he's got 2 flat rate packages, and you'll get a discount because you are a member of Patina Nation, $50 off of what he normally charges. And the basic package at $849 includes 3 one-hour screen share sessions to create the site. And if you go with the more robust and more pages, it's $1198. And that's about 5.5 hours of screen share time. Jared's done this a lot, so he knows what he's doing. And then, you're going to get to see this thing being, created and built as you go. And he also will help you with guidance on things like your domain purchasing, copywriting, photos, graphics, setting up an email account, all the things that you folks were asking. By the way, that was a terrific set of questions you were asking.
Yeah, I love the engagement.
Yeah,
you have a great community.
Yeah, it's a super group of folks. And then just so you know, you can schedule a free discovery call with Jared on patinanation.com. You'll find that under our marketing tools and resources. So I really want to thank everybody for coming on. There was a great turnout today. We will send you a brief post-event survey. We'd love to get answers and feedback so we can really make sure we tailor all of these programs nicely for you. And again, visit our site, patinanation.com. Lots of stuff out there. And then if you have any other feedback or unanswered questions for Jared, you can feel free to reach out to Jared at hello@website by tonight. I ask just one last favor in closing. If there's anyone else you want to refer to join the Patina Nation, we would really appreciate that. And thanks, everybody, and have a great day.
Thank you all. It was a pleasure.
This has been a presentation of the Patina Nation. To watch more content like this or for more information, please visit us online at www.patinanation.com.